Welcome in, everyone. Going to be getting started here in just a few minutes. And today's webinar is going to be on maximizing Social Security benefits. Maximizing Social Security benefits. Throughout the webinar, there's going to be a digital chat there, and you can go ahead and ask questions. And we have team members standing by, ready to answer those questions. Also, throughout the webinar, in the digital chat, there's going to be a link to our company calendar, where if you'd like to set up a client consultation, if you're a client, or a where do I stand plan, a complimentary second opinion on your retirement, which includes a Social Security action plan, tax planning and tax mapping report, strategies to help you with your RMDs, a retirement income plan, different things like that. We have a link to our company calendar in the digital chat, or we will, and that links right to the calendar, and you can pick the day and the time that suits you best and is most convenient for your schedule. We are still hosting virtual appointments, and they're all over the phone and video for right now, but as things open up here slowly, we are going to be going to we'll be getting back into the office as things open up. Okay. Can someone on the team confirm that you can not only see the presentation, but that you can see myself as well?
We can see you, Abe.
Okay. Could you see me before?
I think so.
Okay. Because I don't think I was recording on my end, at least the video record.
All good now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Angela. Also, for anyone setting up a complimentary consultation with us tonight, these are typically what we give away and hand out at our in-person events. And for anyone setting up a complimentary consultation with us today through today's webinar, a complimentary second opinion on where you stand with your retirement, we're going to mail you this book here, Stress-Free Retirement. We'll mail you this My Retirement Kit, which really helps you to start putting together all of your information, from a budget to just keeping all of your information in one kit here. Ask you about how you want to spend your retirement. I mean, we spend so many years doing everything we can to make sure we're there and ready for retirement, and we don't give a lot of thought to what we want to accomplish on the back end of our lives, in retirement. Don't give a lot of thought to how we want to spend that next 20 to 30, 40 years. And so this My Retirement Kit asks a lot of good questions to help you start thinking about how you want to live the rest of your life. In addition, we'll mail you this folder full of our collateral articles that we've written for Forbes, Fortune, CNN Money, that we'll talk about a little bit here in a minute. And that includes our latest Forbes kit. We recently wrote 7 articles for Forbes back in December, January, on the 7 steps to a successful retirement and long-lasting retirement. And step 2, if you can see right there, is having a Social Security action plan, which we're going to talk about today. So all of that information can be sent to you. The Forbes kit, the folder full of our collateral, that'll be sent to anyone on the webinar today that would like that. And then again, if you set up a complimentary consultation with us, whether you're not working with a financial professional or you are and you simply want a second opinion, for setting an appointment, and as a thank you for doing that, we'll mail you these as well. Again, throughout the webinar in the digital chat, if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them right there into the chat. And we have team members standing by that can help you to answer those questions. And we'll have a brief question and answer session at the very end of the webinar. And then we look forward to talking to you after. Get started here in probably 2 minutes. Again, there will be a link to our company calendar in the digital chat, and you can just click on that link, and it'll take you right to the calendar, and you can set up a client consultation, a client conversation if you're an existing client, and if you're a prospective client learning more about Social Security and our firm, and would like to set up a complimentary second opinion. Again, the link to our calendar will be in the digital chat. You can just click on that and set up an appointment that is convenient for you. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started. This presentation typically is about 1 hour and 15 to 1 hour and 20 minutes, and we're going to do our very best to keep it at 1 hour, 60 minutes. So here we go. Welcome in again, everybody. My name is Abe Abich, and I'm the founder and CEO of Abich Financial Services. And Abich Financial Services is headquartered in Ashburn, Virginia. And we just moved into a brand new, beautiful office space early in 2019. But we were already in Ashburn. We just moved into bigger space. So we're headquartered in Ashburn, Virginia. And I've been helping people to retire successfully for 18 years now. And we have clients all over the DC metro area in Washington, DC, Maryland, Virginia. And then, as many of you will on today's webinar, we have a lot of clients that end up moving to the Carolinas, to Florida, Texas, Arizona, states that are much warmer and cheaper, where the cost of living is less. So today's webinar is going to be on maximizing Social Security benefits and what you can do to put the maximum amount of Social Security dollars in your pocket, because you've earned them and you deserve them. Okay, and we'll send you that yellow form there as a workshop assessment form that will be in the folder that we'll mail you. And also there should be a survey at the end of this webinar. Give us your feedback, let us know how we did. And if there's any areas that perhaps we didn't cover that you want to hear next time, or things that we can do to improve future webinars. A little bit about myself. Again, I've been helping families to retire successfully for 18 years now. Since 2003, we have 600 active clients and active client households here, predominantly in the DC metro area, a lot in Fairfax County and Loudoun County, but sprinkled all over the DC metro area. We have our own retirement planning radio show, which I'll talk about in a minute. And that radio show covers a huge radius all the way out to Western Maryland, Eastern Maryland, Fredericksburg, Winchester, Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and it covers a wide range. So our clients are all over the area. One of the top advisor firms in the DC metro area, and in the top 1% of financial planners in the world, ranked by the $1 Million Roundtable. The $1 Million Roundtable is one of the premier financial associations and organizations to be a part of. It consists of 70,000 different financial advisors in the world, and we're in the top 1,000 of that 70,000. So really in the top 1%, and I would say in the top 20 or 30% of that 1%, based on the amount of people that we've helped and the production that we do every year. In addition to that, and even more important, the organization holds its members to the highest standards of ethics, professional knowledge, and outstanding customer and client service in the industry. So we're held to a very high standard. I mentioned before, and in the kit that we'll mail to you, we have been featured and written for Fortune, CNN Money, Annuity 123, Forbes, and we've also been on other outlets as well. And in May of 2018, March of 2018, I wrote an article about the 7 steps toward a long-lasting retirement. And then with Forbes in December of 19 and 20 of 2020, just a few months ago, I wrote detailed steps on the 7 steps toward a long-lasting retirement. And so that's the kit that I just mentioned here. You can see on the screen. And the second step of the 7 is having a plan for Social Security, having a Social Security action plan to maximize your benefits, because it's so important. And that's what today's webinar is about. So at the very least, get a Social Security action plan from us so you can see the real raw numbers that you or you and your spouse can receive over your lifetime. And then you can make an informed, educated decision once you have the numbers. Don't just go off of your gut. Don't just go off of what you think is right. Get the facts, get the details, and then make an educated decision. In 2019, we won the #1 advisor firm in Loudoun County through the Loudoun Times Mirror, and that was the Best of Loudoun contest. And that year, about 60,000 people voted. And usually when we host these workshops at restaurants or at colleges in the area, one of our team members and advisors usually says, well, you know, Abe's mom can only vote so many times, but you can't vote 60,000 times. So look, we beat out some pretty big firms, including Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones, Morgan Stanley, a lot of big time firms that wanted that #1 place. And because of the amazing clients and community that we have here in the area, we were able to win #1, and that was vote based. And then again, we won #1 for 2020. So this award just came out in March of 2020, again through the Loudoun Times Mirror, the biggest newspaper publication in Loudoun County. And again, we won #1, and that was vote based. But this year, over 200,000 people voted across all the different categories. And again, we beat out some pretty big name firms like Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones, Morgan Stanley, Edelman, and several other big time firms. And the year before last, we were able to win, or I was able to win, the 40 Under 40 award in Loudoun County through the Loudoun Times Mirror. 39 other professionals and myself were voted in the 40 Under 40 class as some of the upcoming movers and shakers, community leaders, and professionals in Loudoun County. We're endorsed by the author of these 3 books, and I mentioned before that if you do set up a complimentary consultation with us, we'll give you a copy of this book called Stress-Free Retirement. And man, wouldn't everybody, or doesn't everybody, want to have a stress-free retirement? That's what it's all about. And so what we do is we take everything someone has done for their retirement, put it together into a comprehensive income plan and a roadmap that you can follow for the rest of your life. And our clients come to us from all these big name firms because most of these big name firms are great at accumulating and great at helping you to accumulate money for retirement, but very few focus and have a strength and specialty on the second phase of retirement planning, which is the income and distribution phase of retirement planning. There are only 2 phases of retirement planning, accumulation and income, and 97% of all retirement planning advice given is on the accumulation side of retirement planning, and that's great, but only 3% is on the income side of retirement planning, the income phase of retirement planning. That's where our strength and specialty and planning lies, in that 3%. And that's why clients come to us from all over the place, from big time firms, to get that second part of the plan implemented and combined with the first part. So that book, Stress-Free Retirement, talks about that. We've always been A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Thank God we have never yet had one complaint where something's been bad enough for a client to actually go to the bureaus. And the consumer complaint bureaus and make and file a complaint. So that means that we don't help everybody, nor should we, but I believe we do things right the first time. And we believe in full disclosure and laying out all the pros and cons of the entire plan we put together for you so that you can choose exactly what you want to do. And there's no charge for that. We believe knowledge is power. And as a company, we believe financial education is extremely important. And every single month for the last 12 years, every single month, we've hosted these workshops and webinars on different retirement planning topics. Today's webinar is on maximizing Social Security. Sometimes we host them on required minimum distributions and retirement withdrawals. Sometimes we host them on tax planning and the new tax code and how to plan for taxes in retirement. Then we have a separate course called Retirement Today, which we typically host at Northern Virginia Community College. And that's a 2-hour class that puts together all these topics into a condensed class. But we believe financial education is extremely important. And that's one way that we're able to build trust with the community by providing valuable retirement content to help you make informed decisions. That's our mission as a company, to prepare our clients for a successful and long-lasting retirement. I don't have to read it all to you, but we seek to empower our clients with financial education that makes complex issues simple and allows them to make sound financial decisions. So many times we're told by a lot of people that come through our doors, Abe, I met with so-and-so, I met with that company, I just don't understand what the heck they recommended for me. I got a binder that thick full of pie charts and graphs, and I don't understand what the heck they're recommending, so I didn't do anything. What do you think of this? And so we get that a lot. So we feel as a company, we do a very good job of really explaining things that would otherwise be very difficult for people to understand in a simple fashion. Our vision: to create a better everyday life for everyone in our reach by eliminating financial stress and through the endless pursuit of financial freedom. There are our values: client's best interest first always, listen and listen more. We need to do a lot of listening, and we need to hear your story. And we need to gather all that information so we can put together a thorough, comprehensive plan. So there's going to be some going back and forth between our team and our advisors and you, getting that information from you, getting very detailed, accurate information, because we don't want to guess at what your Social Security benefits might be. We want the specific benefits, and we need to know the specific values in your investment accounts, and et cetera, et cetera. Your specific pension numbers, to put that all together into a plan that is as accurate as possible for you. Those are our company values. We're very involved in the community. I used to sit on the board for Loudoun Habitat for Humanity for years, and I'm part of McLean Bible Church, the Future Fund. We've been part of the Smashing Walnuts Foundation, which is a foundation to help cure childhood brain cancer, and many other organizations. And my wife just founded her own nonprofit. It's our nonprofit now, called The Love of Gray. And The Love of Gray is a nonprofit organization to really create a lot of interest towards the elderly and to help out the elderly. And it's ironic that basically this coronavirus has helped a lot of people realize that the elderly are often pushed to the side. And so, I think there's several silver linings here in this coronavirus pandemic, and I think that's one of them, is that there's more attention being brought to the elderly. So that's my wife's passion, The Love of Gray. We've been on TV a few times. Those interviews are on our website. And we have our own retirement planning radio show on WMAL every single Saturday at 2 o'clock, 105.9 FM. If you haven't heard the show, tune in. Saturdays at 2 o'clock. It's from 2 to 3 every single Saturday, 105.9 FM WMAL. And if you can't tune in at that time, specific time, we have our own podcast. And there's an example of the podcast. The podcast can be found on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. Just type in my name, Abe Abich, or type in Retirement Key Radio, as you see there on the screen. And every single week, there's a new podcast updated with new content. How do we get paid? Well, we're not a nonprofit. We're in business for profit. But the only way that we get compensated is if and when you choose to actually work with us and do business with us. And then the way we get paid is by the companies that you choose to implement and use for the strategies we're recommending. So you can get a full-blown second opinion, a full-blown where do I stand plan. Where do you stand today in regards to your retirement? Get that complimentary second opinion. We don't charge a penny for it, and you can get all of our advice for free without any obligation, lay out all the options for you, and then let you choose exactly what you want to do. We've always gone by 2 rules. Rule number 1, never lose any money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. We believe protection and growth is key in retirement planning, and all of our strategies incorporate both. Anyone can help you grow your money when the S&P 500 is up 30% as it was in 2019. But what about when the going gets tough? What about when you're in a bear market like we are right now? What about when there's potential for another 40% loss here in 2020? Is your advisor doing the same old things for you then? You know, and if you just have a growth and accumulation focused plan, you know, man, your portfolio can really take a big beating there, and especially if you're all equity based, because you're going to live and die with the market. But our clients value protection and growth, and they value protection and growth because they're just about to retire or just into retirement. And you know what? The risk that they can take now at 65 and 70 isn't the same amount of risk that they can take when they're 40, 45, and 50. And now that they need income from their investments, they don't want to play around with the market. Yes, you should have money in the market, and you should also have money out of the market. You should have money for growth and money for income. So we believe both is key. And that's why, again, clients come to us from all of these big name firms, because they have a plan that's solely focused on accumulation. They've done a fantastic job of saving. The savings isn't the problem, but they need that savings to turn into income. And that's why they come to us. All right, so we're going to talk about everything. You know, when we put together a plan for you, we're going to talk about long-term care, Social Security, RMDs, life insurance, your real estate, the income in your plan from annuities, dividends, pensions, Social Security, rental income. We're going to talk about if you have an estate plan put together, wills and trusts, taxes. We host separate webinars and workshops just on taxes alone. We're going to talk about all these. It's part of a comprehensive plan, protection, savings, and growth. That's some of the software that we use. Okay, let's talk about Social Security. Frequently asked questions about Social Security. At what age is it most beneficial to begin taking Social Security income? Well, if I could answer that question for you today, then I would probably be a billionaire, maybe trillionaire, because it's different for every single person. Because every single person has a different story and a different walk of life. They're different ages, they have a different work situation, they have a different health history, they have a different amount of savings that they have in their name. So every situation is different. And because of that, there's no one set answer. How do spousal survivor benefits work? Are there penalties for working while taking Social Security? Yes, there is, depending on when you take it. And how is Social Security treated when it comes to taxes? We're going to answer those questions and more. So if you have not set up an account online at ssa.gov, if you have not set up a Social Security account on the Social Security Administration's website, I highly encourage that you do so. I've done it for myself, and I can see every single year from when I started working at 15 to today, the last 26 years, I can see every single year of working history and income, and I can verify that it's accurate. So that's one reason why you want to do that. The second reason why you want to do that, in addition to verifying all your past employment, is to know what your benefits are. You'd be surprised, but sometimes we talk to people and we ask them what their Social Security benefits are going to be at 62, 67, and 70, and they say, I don't know. I think it's going to be 2,200, 2,500, 1,200, 3,000. Well, I think it's going to be is not a good enough answer. Look, this is money you've worked hard for. This is money you deserve. This is a promise to all American citizens that as we put into the system, we're going to get something back, and you need to know what that benefit is. And we want to know the exact dollar amount so we can put it into our income plans and give you very specific, accurate advice. So go set up a account on ssa.gov to give us very accurate benefits, and so that you know what those benefits are as well. Hopefully everyone knows that if you take benefits early at 62, benefits are going to be reduced. So if you pull benefits out at 62, that's the first age in which most people are eligible to take Social Security benefits. Now, widowers can start a benefit at age 60. If you're widowed, you can start a benefit, a survivor widow's benefit at age 60. If you're not widowed, though, however, you can start benefits at 62. That's the first age anyone's eligible. And every year you take it early is a deduction of your benefits, and benefits can be reduced by 25 to 30%. On the other hand, every year you defer and delay those benefits and let them grow, they grow by about 8% guaranteed and compounded every single year. Where can you go and get an 8% guaranteed compounded benefit? Right now, nowhere. And even in the past, when the market was hot, it's very tough to get an 8% ongoing return every single year, if not impossible. So take advantage of that if you can. If you can, defer and delay, take advantage of that. What we found is that the sweet spot for taking Social Security benefits is typically in between 65 years old and 69, okay? Only 3% of the American population waits till age 70. Only 3% of Americans wait till age 70. A lot of Americans start at 62. And if you're like a lot of clients that we work with, you may not have a lot of faith in the Social Security Administration and program being around in its current form, unchanged for the rest of your life. So if you have benefits coming up in the next year, next few years, instead of deferring them or delaying them, you may want to consider taking them now if you don't have a lot of faith in the program being around unchanged for the rest of your life. And that leads me to another point there, is that by 2034, if nothing changes with the Social Security program, benefits will be cut by about 22 to 25%. In other words, if you were receiving $1,000 a month and nothing changes with the Social Security program, you're only going to receive $780 or maybe $750. So benefits will be reduced by 22% to 25% if nothing changes, and that's only 14 years away. See, there used to be a trust fund for Social Security. There used to be a big bucket and pot of money set aside for Social Security benefits, and now there's not. There's no trust fund. There's no money set aside. Money was taken from that program to pay for other programs. When Social Security was first started, I believe it was 1935. Yeah, it was 1935. There were 160 workers in the workforce for every one person receiving a check. 160 workers for every one person receiving a check. Now there are only 3 workers for every one person receiving a check. There's no more piggy bank left for the Social Security program, and all Social Security benefits being received are being paid out by current tax revenue. We all should know that every year you defer and delay benefits, they grow by 8%, and the maximum benefit is at age 70. You can't wait to 71, 72, 75. They make you start taking your benefit, and it will not grow anymore past 70, except for maybe a cost of living adjustment. Maximum benefits, these are the maximum benefits we see at 62, full retirement age, and 70, $2,153 a month, about $2,700 a month at full retirement age, 65, 66, 67, and at 70, about 35, 3,600. I've seen benefits as large as 37 to 3,800 at 70, but that's because of cost of living adjustments being added to those benefits. But typically around 3,500 is about the largest benefit that we're going to see. All right, here's an example to give you a better idea of when to take Social Security. Here is an example of 3 triplets, and they're 3 identical brothers. And as most siblings think they're right, these brothers think they're right and think that, you know, when they're going to take Social Security is the best age. And they're sitting around the table for Mother's Day, and they're arguing about when it's best to take Social Security. So Earl is going to take benefits early. Stan is going to take benefits at the standard age or full retirement age. And Dell is going to what? Is going to delay. And he thinks that waiting till 70 is best. All right, so let's go through this. Every year that you wait, benefits grow by 8%. Earl's going to take benefits there at 62. His benefit's going to be $750 a month. Stan is going to take benefits at 66. His benefit's going to be $1,000. And Dell is going to take benefits at 70, and his benefit's going to be $1,300. And it's a toss-up. It's a gamble, right? Because we don't know when we're going to pass away. And if we did know when we're going to pass away, then we would know exactly when to take Social Security benefits. There wouldn't be any question. But we don't. So we have to factor in a lot of consideration here, a lot of things to take into consideration as to when to take benefits. So let's start with Earl. He's going to take benefits early. He thinks it's going to be most lucrative to take that check and bank it every month while his brothers wait. Stan's going to wait 4 years, and Dell's going to wait 8 years to get his first check. Earl's going to take it and grab it right now. Plans to bank each check and let it accumulate. Thinks his money will outgrow his brothers. Stan is going to wait to the standard age, 66 for most people, to take benefits. He's going to wait 4 years. Earl is going to receive 4 years worth of payments before Stan receives his first check. He's going to receive $1,000 instead of Earl receiving $750, and he's looking to outpace what Earl would receive. So let's take a look at Earl. His benefits are reduced by 25%. He's going to start with $750 a month. He's taking benefits early. He's going to take that $750 a month, $9,000 a year over 4 years. It's 36 grand. That's not factoring in taxes, of course, but 36,000 after taxes is in his bank account and can start working for him, or $750 a month over those 4 years. Assuming $1,000 of monthly income is needed, Earl must tap into his savings to supplement his income at 66. So Earl's going to take the $750 a month for 4 years. Then Earl's going to turn 66. Stan's going to be waiting at 66 to collect his first check. And to keep up with inflation, Earl is going to need to dip into his cash piggy bank at $250 a month to equal the $1,000 check that Stan would receive. So if Earl has to dip into that $36,000 at $250 a month, and he's earning 3%, how long would that $36,000 last? So let me explain that again. Earl gets to 66. Earl's still receiving $750 a month. Stan is receiving $1,000. In order to equal Stan's $1,000 benefit, Earl needs to tap into that $36,000 chunk of money at $250 a month to equal Stan's. At 3%, how long does that $250 a month last? 16 years. So at 66, Earl starts dipping into that piggy bank of 36 grand, and at 3%, that lasts him 16 years. And at age 82, if Earl and Stan are still living, you guys can now see who starts winning when it comes to collecting Social Security. What if Earl was only earning 0% on that $36,000? The break-even point for him would only be 12 years. In other words, if at 66 he needed to start dipping into that piggy bank at $250 a month, 0% rate of return, at age 78, the $36,000 would be gone, and Stan would now start winning. Okay? Dell is going to delay. He thinks he's the most patient, the wisest of the three brothers. He thinks that by delaying till 70 and receiving the largest benefit then, he's going to win. Well, if he lives long, he would receive $1,320 a month versus $750 and $1,000. $570 more than Earl and $320 more than Stan's. Who's the winner? Is it Earl, Stan, or Dell? Well, let's talk about the loser. And the loser, we're going to have to base this on mortality tables and actuarial tables, because the average male in this country lives to about age 83, age 84. And if Dell waits to 70 to start taking Social Security benefits, he better live to about age 88 or age 89 to make it worth waiting. And if he dies before then Earl or Stan would have won. So whether you're male or female, if you wait till 70, you better live a long time to make it worth waiting. As a male, again, you need to live to about 88, 89. And as a female, you better be living to about 89 or 90 to make it worth waiting till 70. Waited till 70, $1,320 a month, $570 more than Earl, would have to live past age 87 to receive more income. Who wins between Earl and Stan? It's a total toss-up. Here's why. Let's talk through this. So there you see on your table some basic mortality tables here. So the average male that's 62 and the average male that's 66, here they are right here. The average male that's 62 only lives another 20 years to age 82. The average male that's 66 only lives another 16 and a half years, which is also 82. Now you can see it's a total toss-up. It's a tie. But what if Earl or Stan pass away before age 82? It would have been better for Earl or better for any male to take benefits at 62. What if either brother lives past age 82? It would have been better to wait, so 66, okay? Female, 62 and 66. The average female that's 62 lives 22 and a half years, so about age 84 and a half. The average female that's 66 lives about 19 years, which is right at age 84 and a half or age 85 as well. And that's a toss-up for females too. So if you're a female and you take benefits at 62 and you die before age 82, you would have been better taking benefits at 62. And if you pass away after age 82 or age 83, you would have been better taking benefits at 66 because you will then start receiving more money by having waited to a full retirement age. I hope that makes sense. Okay, moving right along. Working while receiving early Social Security benefits. If you receive Social Security benefits at 62, in between 62 and full retirement age, which for most people is 66, then you can only make and earn $18,240 a year. Otherwise, 50% of your Social Security check will be held, not penalized, not taken, but held and given back to you at full retirement age, okay? So if you make or earn more than $18,240 and you're receiving Social Security benefits between 62 and your full retirement age, whatever that is, you can only earn $18,240 a year. That doesn't include rental income, stock or dividend income, annuity income. That's just working income from you going to work. So just keep in mind, if you do plan on taking benefits early, that you can only earn a certain amount of money. Otherwise, 50% of that benefit's withheld and held until you turn or hit your full retirement age. At that point, it's all given back to you. And once you reach full retirement age, whether that be for you 65, 66, 66 and 4 months, 67 is the latest full retirement age right now. Once you hit that full retirement age, you can earn as much money as you want and no benefits will be withheld. You'll receive 100% of your Social Security check. What about spousal survivor benefits? Well, the surviving spouse gets the larger of the two benefits at death. We had one couple come in and thought that both checks continued. Well, that person's passed away. That person's not here anymore, so their check can't continue. But if their check was larger than your check, then you're going to receive your spouse's benefit. But you can only receive one check, and you'll receive the larger of either your check or your spouse's check. Okay, now we're going to talk about Social Security taxation. I'm going to walk you through a really quick game to show you how Social Security is treated when it comes to taxation, because it's treated very differently. So at our workshops, at our physical workshops in person, we usually give out money, and we play this little game, and we say that the women in the game have a 5-year annuity, earning 2%, and the men in the game have a 5-year CD earning 3%. Okay, so the men are earning a 50% better rate of return. Let's see how their returns and income is going to impact their Social Security taxes. So it's at the end of the first year of your investment. The women have earned $2, the men have earned $3. And for everyone watching this webinar, everyone is at a total modified adjusted gross income level of $44,000. And the name of the game? Pay your taxes, because we all have to pay our fair share. Now, we'll start with the men. The wiser investors watching this webinar. Time for the men to pay their taxes. They get their $3 of interest. Congratulations, men. You earned a whopping $3 on your $400,000 in the bank, because we all know you're earning quite a lot in the bank right now. And you take that $3 and you pay your taxes. And Bank of America, or whoever the bank is you're working with, sends you a 1099. You pay your taxes, federal and state. let's say you're at 28% or 12%, 22%, pay your taxes and you're left with $2.16. Or is that all the money that you're left with? Could there be more taxes too? Well, the government and Congress has said that if you're married in retirement and you're earning more than $44,000 of income in retirement, just more than $44,000, then your Social Security income is taxed. And if you're single in retirement and just earning more than $34,000, just $34,000, then your Social Security income is taxed. And up to 85% of it can be taxed at your ordinary income tax bracket. So because you went over that threshold, your Social Security income is going to be taxed too. Let's do the math. There's the formula that Congress determined will determine if your Social Security benefits are taxable. It's the sum of your adjusted gross income plus non-taxable interest plus half of your household Social Security benefits. And if those three things total 44,000 or more married or 34,000 or more single, then your Social Security income is taxed. And if you're over these two levels here, the 34 and 44, 85% of your total Social Security check will be taxed at your ordinary income tax bracket. If you're in between these two thresholds right here, then 50% of your check will be taxed at your ordinary income tax bracket. And if you're single or married and under those thresholds, then Social Security income is tax-free as it should be. Okay, let's go back to the men. Because the men earn $3 over the set amount by Congress, 85% of that $3 of the Social Security income is now taxed. Let's do the math. 85% of $3 is $2.55. $2.55 of the Social Security income is taxed at 28%. That's 71 cents in taxes. Remember, you already paid 84 cents in federal and state taxes, which now total $1.55. So 84 cents in federal and state taxes, 71 cents in Social Security taxation, that's $1.55 in total taxation, and you made $3. That's over a 50% tax rate, leaving you only with $1.45 left. So the men end up putting $1.55 in the tax bin. They're left with $1.45. And the women in the game that we typically play still have their $2, because with what comes with most deferred annuities is tax deferral and compound interest. And so even if the women have a simple annuity, that annuity is not taxed unless or until you pull money out. Well, after the first year, they get their 2% of interest. All the interest stays in the account and is not taxed. The men get a 1099 from the bank and they have to pay the tax. So look at this. Even though the women earned a 50% lower rate of return, the women earned 2%, the men earned 3%, the women are keeping more money in their pockets than the men. 50% less rate of return, more money in their pocket because of taxation. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep that counts. We can't stress that enough. That's so important from an investment standpoint and from a taxation standpoint. Look, if you have all your money in stocks, or if you are 70, 80, 90, 100% of your money in stocks, you're living and dying with the market. You're up 30, down 30. Yes, you can earn 30% in a year, but you can lose 30% in a month, just like many people did in March of 2020. If you're 60, 70, 80% in equities and stocks, well, the ups and downs aren't going to be as high, but there are still some pretty significant losses that you can have and some pretty significant upside that you can achieve as well. But you don't want all of your eggs in one basket, and it's not about what you earn, it's what you keep that counts. So many of the clients that we work with, in our opinions, they've won the game. They've won the game from an accumulation standpoint. We had a gentleman in October of 19 that we work with who went to 100% cash. October of 19, the market was still going like this. He went to 100% cash. Why would he do that? Because in October of 19, he found out and realized that he had exactly the amount of money he needed, that he and his wife needed for retirement. And he followed one of many of Warren Buffett's quotes. And that quote that he followed, that Warren Buffett said, is, why risk what you have for something you don't need? He hit his goal. It was way over $1 million, about $1.5 million that he needed to achieve the lifestyle that he and his wife wanted to achieve. And he went entirely to cash and hasn't lost a penny since because he's in cash. Now, he's going to deploy some of that cash and get back into the market, some of it, and a lot of it is going to set aside for income. But it's not about what you earn, it's what you keep and what's in your pockets that counts. Okay, moving right along here. How important is tax deferral? Well, what comes with tax deferral is triple compounding interest. I'm going to show you how important that is here. So interest compounds on your interest compounds on your taxes, and interest compounds on your principal. Triple compounding interest. So anytime you can take advantage of a tax deferred annuity, of a 401k, an IRA, a TSP, any tax deferred account, you want to do that because look at the women in the game. The women had a 50% less rate of return and they outperformed the men in the game, even with a 50% better rate of return. So let's look at how important tax deferral is. Here's the magic doubling dollar. If I gave every one of you watching this webinar $1 and we doubled it 20 times, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 8 to 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, on and on and on, and I doubled this $1 20 times and kept all the taxes and interest in the account, how much money do we have at the end of the 20th double? Over $1 million. That's just $1, folks. And that's not a magic trick, just $1 doubling 20 times all the taxes and interest in the account, $1,048,000. So let's call that the Fidelity Freedom 2060 Fund in your 401k. The Fidelity Freedom 2060 Fund. It's not even a fund, I just made it up. But the Fidelity Freedom 2060 Fund, okay? Then let's say we have the same investment, the same Fidelity Freedom 2060 Fund, but in a brokerage account, because you've maxed out your 401k, you've maxed out your IRA, you can't put any more money into that account, so you're looking for other accounts to save money in. Same investment, same return, same expenses, same exact investment, but no tax advantage. So we take the same dollar, we double it 20 times, 1 to 2, 4 to 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, on and on and on, and we double this dollar 20 times, and every year we take out 25% for taxes. How much money do we then have after the 20th double? Just over $74,000. Isn't that incredible? That shows you the power of tax deferral and compound interest. And I bring that up because so many people we meet with have $400,000, $600,000, $900,000 of cash in the bank. Yes, that's real. And more people are going to cash. And I get that. I understand that because the market's so volatile. But man, if we have more than a year or two's worth of cash reserves on hand, then really we're losing money because we're lucky to get 1% right now in the bank with no tax advantage. In addition, a lot of our clients will come in with $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in a brokerage account, no tax advantage. And all those dividends and all that interest income is just boosting up your total income and creating more tax. So take advantage of tax deferral whenever you can. Let me give you one more example here, the difference between average and actual returns. Let's say I give everybody on this webinar $2, $1 bill and $1 worth of quarters. So we start off the investment with $2. Then in your first year, we earn 50%. So you come in, you meet with us, we give you 50%. No, that's not gonna happen. Just making sure you're still following along. $2 goes to $3, up 50%. What typically happens after a really good year in the market? Well, for the last several years, we've been preaching that with an 11-year bull run in the stock market, that can't continue to go up forever, that the market had to correct at some point. And sure enough, it did this year. What typically happens after a great year or a great ride in the market? A bad year. Now, you might say 50%, a 50% loss. Well, you know what? That's real. And that happened from the top of 2008 to the bottom of 2009, from peak to trough. The S&P loss in the loss in the S&P during that period of time was 50%. Calendar year 2008, it was 38 to 39%. But from the top of 2008 to the bottom of 2009, before it turned around in September of 2009, was 50% loss. And you may say, well, 50% gain, that's unheard of. Well, no, it's not. Amazon stock just tripled in the last few years. doubled in 3 years. And last year, the indexes were up 30, 35, 40%. So it's not out of the norm. That can happen. So if we earn 50% in the first year and then we lost 50% in the second year, our average is 0. And it seems like we would be okay, right? Up 50, down 50. But what really happened? We started off with $2. We earned $1. We're up to 3. We lose 50%. We're down to $1.50. And we started off with 2. We actually have a loss, even though the average return was 0. Let's look at it another way around. Okay, let's look at it another way around. Let's say we start off with $2, we lose 50%, we're down to $1, we earn another 50%. Sounds like we're okay. Down 50, up 50. If you're in the casino, it sure would sound like you're okay, right? Down 50, up 50. Yeah, you're telling your friends and family, I'm okay. It's a wash. I didn't lose any money, but you did. Started with 2, down to $1, earned 50, up to 150. You started off with 2, you've lost 50 cents. That's a negative 25% return, even though the average is 0. Pay attention to that as you pick investment funds in your portfolio. So even if you average 0, you bit into your principal right here. And if you bite into your principal in the first few, in the years just leading up to retirement and early into retirement, we call it the retirement red zone. That's basically a couple years before you retire and a couple years into retirement. If you bite into your principal and lose part of your nest egg, it's extremely likely that you will run out of money before you pass away. We can't afford for that to happen. So if you only lost 30% in 2008, and most people lost 38, 40, some more, it took 3.5 to 4 years to recoup that initial investment. And guess what we're hearing this year? From Guggenheim and from many other sources, we're hearing that it's going to be a 4-year recovery. And we're hearing that if this bear market is anything like most other bear markets, we had our big initial drop in March of 2020, 30% loss in the S&P. Then we had what's called a head fake rebound. Look, in April just had one of its best months of stock market history, but how that doesn't sync, that doesn't match up. How do we have one of the best months in stock market history with 30 million people unemployed, with companies that may never be around ever again? And we haven't realized the true financial damage. So many experts believe that this year, the S&P 500 will drop down below 2,000 points, which is more than a 30% loss from where the market is today in early May of 2020, meaning for more than a 40% loss in the S&P 500. And I think that it's highly likely that will happen, and we need to prepare for that. And right now, with the market turning around big time in April, we're in a much better position than we were in March. So we really need to watch this carefully and prepare for that. Let's talk about some investments. We're going to talk about stocks, bonds, cash, commodities, annuities. Not going to talk about real estate, even though we really love real estate. Our clients do as well. Typically, our clients have their primary home paid off, and a lot of our clients have a second, third, fourth, sometimes fifth or sixth rental property. And so they're fantastic, and real estate does really well in this area, but we're not going to talk about it on today's webinar. The stock market in stocks. Over a long period of time, the market usually does go up. Yes, over a long period of time, the market does go up, and you want to be invested in the market with a portion of your money. But what's a long period of time to you today watching this webinar? You may say, well, Abe, I'm retiring this year, or I'm retiring in 2 years, I'm retiring within 10 years, or I'm already retired. Well, you don't have 20 or 30 years to ride out the market because you might need income now, or you might need income in 2 years when RMDs start, or within 10. And if you're within 10 years of being forced to withdraw money out of your accounts for RMDs, or needing to take income from your investments for supplemental income, then you do not have a long period of time, right? Now, the rest of your money, you might be able to let that grow for more long-term growth. I'm turning 41 this year. I do have 31 more years as the law stands right now to delay all and defer all of my money until RMDs are due at 72, but most of our clients are 55 to 75 and are forced to take out money here in the next 5 or 10 years. So that's not a long period of time. A 5 to 10 year period of time is not a long time to weather a market's ups and downs, especially if it's going to take 4 more years until 2024 just to recoup this year's losses. But over a long period of time, the market's going to go up, and stocks are usually in the 7% to 10% range, and you're going to get rewarded for taking that risk. In the last 16, 17 years, the market looked very different than 1970 to 2000. We have the tech bubble here, we have 2008, and then we have 2020, which is happening right now. And stocks have their pros and cons, as does every investment decision and every investment that you own. If you're invested in stocks, which most of our clients can have some of their portfolios in stocks, maybe it's 30%, 40%, 60, 70%, depending on your risk tolerance. You've got all the ups and all the downs of the market. You can have dividends and get rewarded for that risk. And it's typically appropriate for you to take on that risk to some degree, depending on your age and risk tolerance and your entire financial situation. That was 2 years ago, 2018. Fall of 2018. Market's more volatile than Bitcoin, and look what happened in 2019. It roared up, hit all-time historic market highs. And then in March 2020, we have a lot of red going on. You know, the market's down about 10% right now. You might only be down 5 to 10 because in April, the market came roaring back. But I'm warning you, please prepare for the potential that the market seriously takes another big dive. If this bear market is like most other bear markets, we're in for another substantial loss. So please prepare for that. Do not think that we've already hit the low. I truly believe that we're going to retest the low that we hit in March. So then what about bonds? People say, well, if you're not going to have all your money in stocks and equities, then where else can you put it? Bonds, cash, treasuries, annuities, money markets. Well, let's talk about bonds. Bonds have an inverse relationship with interest rates. And whenever interest rates start going back up again, bond values will come down. Well, bonds have been on a 35-year bull run because interest rates just came down. From 2008 until now, they went into the gutter and interest rates just went down again, and interest rates are going to have to stay low. So it was a great time to own bonds because interest rates fell down and bond values went up. But as soon as interest rates go back up again, bond values will go down. Over the next decade, Vanguard, BlackRock, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, big time investment firms are only calling for a 1% to 3% return on bonds. 1 to 3. So what are you doing with 20, 30, 40, 50% of your money in bonds? It's not going to perform, and it's going to barely keep up with inflation. And we need to look for an alternative. Traditional financial planning, traditional retirement planning, the traditional stock and bond approach in combination is not going to be good anymore. It's not going to be enough. Bonds have their pros and cons. Yes, you're not going to lose as much money as you will on stocks, but you're not going to earn as much money either, not near as much. And they're there to soften the blow and to complement equities. 2 years ago, June 2nd of 2018, Morningstar interviews David Blanchett, the head of retirement research for Morningstar. The head of retirement research for Morningstar. Here's what he says. Blanchett says he expects stocks to return less than 4, and bonds just 2 over the next decade at an expected inflation of more than 2, and I would say even more than that with all this quantitative easing that just happened again. And the outlook for returns is pretty dismal. So there's a big time firm, Morningstar, calling for a 2% return on bonds the next decade. And Barron's hit it right on the head. July 2nd, 2018, best of views by 2020. You see there the stake, Bull's final countdown, how to prepare. They nailed it on the head. Is hoping that you're in the right place at the right time a sound retirement strategy? No, hope is not a good strategy. What about the bank? Well, you know what? People are going to cash right now in droves. There is more money being put in cash than since 2008. So the good news about cash is that it's safe, it's protected, you can have FDIC insurance. We all know the bad news though, right? Interest rates are super low. You'd be lucky to get 1%, and there's 0 tax advantage. And I've heard recently, this is a rumor, so it's not a fact, but I have heard that the government is looking to do away with FDIC insurance on bank accounts. So yes, I think that could be true in the future. Commodities, gold. A lot of people talking about gold right now with the volatility in the market, and gold is a great hedge against inflation, against volatility. You hear commercials on the radio and TV for buying gold. You can physically own it and touch it, keep it in your house, keep it in the bank, in an IRA. It's tangible, it's non-correlated, it's diversified. But still, even with all that, our clients typically own less than 5% of their portfolio in commodities just because they don't understand them. Let's talk about annuities. We love talking about annuities because there's so much misinformation out there about them. So here's an annuity 101. If you have a pension, you own number one. All pensions are funded and backed by number one, immediate annuities that will give you income immediately. If you put in money into an immediate annuity, say $100,000, next month, you're going to start getting a check. I can tell you that in 18 years of helping people to retire successfully, we have not put one penny into number one because there's too much negatives associated with number one. If you put any money into number one, you can never touch it again, period. Because you're turning over all that money and you're essentially annuitizing that money and turning it into an annuity income stream. But because you're giving up total control, we believe there's a huge lack of flexibility and liquidity. And we've never had a client desperate enough that says, Abe, next month, I need to start receiving a check and I'm willing to give you all my money for a monthly check next month. So anytime you hear anything bad about annuities, it typically comes from number one and number three. Anytime typically you hear something good about annuities, it typically stems from number two and number four, number two and four. Let's talk about number two. This was the women's annuity in the game. They earned 2%, the women earned 2% in that game, 50% less rate of return than the men, and still ended up with more money in the annuity than the men's CD. So in a deferred fixed annuity, it's not in the market. There are no fees, no bells and whistles. It's like a CD on steroids. And so for a 3-year annuity right now, you can get about 2%, 2.25 as of May of 2020. And for a 5-year fixed annuity right now, you can get about 3%, maybe 3.1. Variable annuities, number 3. Most financial professionals and advisors do not like variable annuities because they can go up and down. Okay, when the market goes up and down, your account values will go up and down. And most people like annuities because they don't want to worry about the market's ups and downs. The second reason we don't like them, and many people don't like them, is because the fees are very high. They're very expensive products with annual fees typically ranging in between 3 to 5% a year. Yes, with big time companies, I've seen fees as high as 5% per year. That means you have to earn 5 just to wash away your fees. It's ridiculous. And 3 to 4% is the average, which means you have to earn 8% every single year in the market just to net 4 or 5%. It's really unsustainable and impossible to do. So in 1995, the same insurance companies that offer 1, 2, and 3 came out with number 4. Fixed indexed annuities, they're really a hybrid, a crossover between 2 and 3. They pair them into one vehicle, and you have the best of number 2 and 3. So in number 2, you can only earn 2 to 3% right now. In a fixed indexed annuity, we had clients last year in 2019 earning anywhere from 8 or 9% to 17%. Yes, the S&P was up 30, but if you can earn 9 to 17% in a year where the market did really well on your safe money, that's a darn good return. And what's better, even better, is that when the market goes down, you're not going to lose any money and you'll lock in all that interest that you earned previously. So if you put $100,000 into number 4 and in your first year earn 4%, then in the start of the second year, your account balance will be 104 and can never go below that. So it locks in all the interest and growth you earn as well as your principal. The long-term growth that we've seen since 1995 is in the 4 to 7% range. Look, we're not trying to light the world on fire with number 4. We're trying to complement your stocks better. This is a great bond alternative. It's a great bond alternative. If you have the TSP, it's a great G and F fund alternative, treasuries, cash, money market CDs, bond alternative. 4 to 7% is the growth range. The fees range in between 0 to 1, and there would only be a fee if you added some bells and whistles on, and many people don't need to add any bells and whistles on, so they can get in with 0 fees. 4 to 7 with 0 fees. Now, annuities have pros and cons too. They're not fully liquid. You have to satisfy a period of time. You can take money out every year, but you got to satisfy a period of time. So they're not fully liquid. And yes, we're not looking to get all the returns that the market can give us. We're looking to pair the annuity with the stocks to create the most optimal portfolio. Higher upside than bonds with less risk. 1 or 2 more slides and then we're finished with today's webinar. This is sequence risk, and we haven't talked about this yet, but in the income and distribution phase of retirement, if your financial professional is not talking to you about sequence risk, this is the risk to any retiree that when you're pulling money out of your portfolio, that you also experience the market being down at the same time. That's right now. That's 2020. Now, part of the CARE stimulus package was that there are no RMDs due in 2020. But if you're taking money out of your investment accounts, and we talk to people all the time that are, you've got a double whammy right now, maybe triple whammy. You've got your market loss, maybe 5 or 10% right now. You've got your own withdrawal, maybe that's 2, 3, 4, 5%. And you've got the additional fee that you're paying to the advisor or the expenses in the funds. That's double or triple whammy. And that can crush your investment values. Let's take a look. Here's a story of 2 brothers. Lucky brother number 1 right here, unlucky brother number 2 over here. Let's start with lucky brother. He's lucky because the first 7 years of his retirement, the market's straight up. 19, 12, 7, 6, 31, 17, 13%. He puts $500,000 of his retirement money into the market, and he starts taking out 4% per year for income, but the market's up. So he's taking out 4, but he's earning 19. He's taking out 4, but he's earning 12. He's always ahead of the game. So in year 7, his $500,000 even grows to almost 1.1 million. And then the last 3 years of his first 10, he suffers losses. Down 17, down 16, now down 19, plus the 4%. So he's down 21, down 20, and down 23. And because the losses come at the end, he still has all of his principal, $563,000. He's grown, protected, distributed, and received income, okay? Grown it, protected, preserved, and received, all in one account. Now, he was lucky. His twin brother is not so lucky. He puts $500,000 into the market. He starts taking out 4% for an RMD or just a retirement income withdrawal. And he's not lucky because the first 3 years of his retirement, the market's down. The first 3 years of his retirement, the market's down. He's down 19, he's down 16, he's down 17, but he's really down 23, down 20, and down 21 because it's his withdrawal and the market loss. And look what happens to his investment values in year 4. $241,000. Started with $500,000, he's down to 241, less than half of what he started with in 4 years. 4 years. And yes, the market's going to come back, and it does. The market comes back here with a vengeance. He's up 7 years there in a row, 13, 17, 31, 19. The next 7 years, the market goes back up, but it's too late. And in year 10, you can see there he only has $391,000 left. He's bitten into his principal by $108,000, and that's money he'll never get back again. Because guess what? In year 11, he has to continue to take money out. Now watch this. Look at the average return from the 2 brothers. Each brother averaged 5.3, yet we had 2 very different outcomes. Look, we can't control when the market returns come, but we can control and we can take 100% ownership as to how we invest right now, today, from here on out. We can look at the 11-year bull run we had. We can look at what happened in March and April, and we can say, you know what? The losses are pretty minimal right now. Let me do everything I can in my power to make sure I'm controlling what I can control and getting my monies in the right places before we have probably another pretty big drop in the market this year. Hope that makes sense there. That's sequence risk. And we are pretty much finished here. So should you make an appointment? Well, if you don't have a Social Security action plan and you want Social Security guidance and advice about when is best for you to take Social Security, we can provide that report for you. If you're not 100% confident in the stock market right now, well, I can't tell you. If you're 100% confident in the stock market right now, then we're probably not going to be a good fit in working together, right? Because that would be way too confident, I think, given the current situation. Do you want to minimize taxes you pay while you're alive and and that your heirs could pay? Many of our clients are very concerned with taxes, and we have a tax planning session that we'll have with you. We can put all of your information into a tax planning report. And I just did this for a lady today that lives in Loudoun County. I told her exactly where she was in the bracket and how much room she has in the bracket to do a conversion. If you're working with another advisor, fine. Almost all of our clients are working with another advisor at the same time. And that's because most financial advisor firms don't do everything really well. Most advisor firms have a strength here, a strength there, but they're not doing everything really, really well. That's what I found in my 18 years. And we don't pretend to do everything really well. And when we don't, when there are areas that we don't do everything really, really well, we source that out and get help and recommend working with somebody else and us at the same time. We don't charge a penny, and we don't charge a penny, and we don't earn a penny until or unless you decide to work with us. So get the Social Security Action Plan, get a full-blown retirement income plan, the tax mapping report, get all that information from us. It's free, we don't charge you for it, and let us give you a second opinion on where you stand today, and let us prove to you that we can help maximize and leverage what you've done so far for your retirement. And I'm going to wrap up right there. Let's see here. I'm going to open up for questions and answers. And I'm getting some questions right now from our team. And again, before I get to those questions, I have wrapped up with a webinar. I'm going to open it up for questions and answers. In the digital chat right here, you can go ahead to the digital chat room and ask any questions that you have, and our team members are going to forward them to me, and I'm going to answer them right now. And in the digital chat, there's going to be a link, a direct link to our calendar, a Calendly link to our calendar. Click on that calendar link and just set up the time that you want to talk to us. And if you do set up an appointment today, as a thank you to you, we're going to send you this stress-free retirement book, this My Retirement Kit, the folder, and the Forbes kit with the 7 articles that I just wrote a couple months ago, with that second article being on maximizing Social Security. We're going to send all that to you. If you don't set an appointment with us, we'll send you the kit, the Forbes kit and the folder, and then we'll add in the book if you do set up an appointment with us. So just go to the digital chat, ask your questions, and go to the calendar there to set up a complimentary consultation with us. I have a question here from a webinar attendee. For a spousal survivor benefit, can it be on your second husband if you were married at the time of his death? Let me think about that. Yes, I believe the answer is yes there. For a spousal survivor benefit, can it be on your second husband? I believe, if I'm understanding the question correctly, if your prior husband's already passed away and you're married at the time of his death, yes, absolutely. Well, you know what? Before giving you a firm answer to that person that asked that question, if our team can write that down, we made a note of it, and we'll get back to that attendee and just confirm. I don't want to give you a guess, and I want to make sure of that correct answer. But thank you for that question. That's a good one. Any other questions? I think we're just over an hour here, maybe about an hour and 5 minutes in. And I am done with the presentation, but I'm still opening it up for more questions if there are any more coming in. And I see a comment from one of the webinar attendees saying, thank you very much, Mr. Abich. And hail to the Redskins. Yes. I don't know if you knew, but I'm a diehard Redskins fan. And hey, new year, right? 2020. Got some really good draft picks. So we can only do better, right? I think we only won 3 games last year in 2019. So I'm optimistic and looking forward to what the future holds. At some point, we're going to bring another Super Bowl to Washington, D.C. I have another question here from a webinar attendee. You said that there were 4 annuity types. Can you tell me what number? Okay, we've had some meetings with one of the webinar attendees and made a recommendation for one of those specific annuities we talked about. And out of the 4 that we talked about, we recommended to that webinar attendee who asked that question, we recommended to you number 4, fixed indexed annuity. And most of the time, we're only going to recommend the 2nd type or the 4th type, which is the deferred fixed annuity or the fixed indexed annuity, not the immediate annuity or the variable. So to that webinar attendee, I've recommended number 4 for you. And that's a common recommendation if you want some safety, protection, you want some income, an alternative to your bonds, your cash, something to complement your stocks and your risk. Great question. Okay, I have a question from an attendee, how we're paid. Explain how we are paid and compensated. Well, number one, again, throughout all the sessions that we'll have with you and all the information that we'll provide to you, we don't charge a penny. And there are many firms out there that'll charge $700, $2 grand, $3 grand just to put together a comprehensive financial plan for you. We don't work that way. So the way we're compensated, the way most advisors are compensated in our industry is either fees or commissions or both. So for any insurance-based recommendation or strategy, life insurance, long-term care, annuities, those are typically commission-based. And we will earn commission compensation directly from the company that our clients implement those solutions and strategies with. So let's say it's with a huge company like New York Life, Nationwide, Lincoln Financial, MetLife, just a huge insurance company. Our compensation comes directly from those companies to pay us for life insurance, long-term care annuities, and you don't pay us a penny, nor does any money come from your accounts to pay us. We're paid separately and directly from those companies. And that's the way we're paid. So you don't pay us a penny. We're paid exactly and directly from the companies that you choose to place those monies with. Hopefully that answers that question. Are we a fiduciary? So the technical answer is no. And I say that because we are not Series 65 licensed. And for being Series 65 licensed, you're automatically considered to be a fiduciary. But what I would tell you is that that can be a cloudy definition, we feel. And that's because if you're a fiduciary and you're 65 licensed, you might have proprietary funds. You may have something that you really want to, have the client to buy because perhaps you're compensated more for offering that strategy. Or you may not offer a strategy entirely. For example, one of the companies I've just mentioned over the last few minutes does not offer annuities at all. They poo-poo the heck out of annuities, and they don't offer annuities, period. So let me ask you, if you want to work with a fiduciary, with someone who's going to put all these recommendations in your best interest, and you're working with a professional who can't even offer an entire product line or strategy, is that in your best interest? I would say 100% no. So just because someone's a fiduciary doesn't mean they're acting in your best interest. And that's what I believe firmly. So our clients will work with us. They'll work with other firms at the same time. They'll have monies at Fidelity, Schwab, TD Ameritrade, Vanguard, and work with us at the same time for the areas that we can't help them with. So hopefully that answers your question, or that answers that question. Any other questions, team? Any other questions that we can answer? If not, we can wrap up here. Angela, I don't know if you want to chime in, but we're going to go ahead and end the webinar. it's been a pleasure. I'm up. It looks like we have maybe one more. What was the book title and author? Okay, so the book title is Stress-Free Retirement, and the author, Patrick Kelly. Okay, Stress-Free Retirement, Patrick Kelly. We'll mail you a copy of that book if you set up an appointment with us. It's my intent to write my own book and go into even more detail on the 7 steps toward a long-lasting retirement, those articles that we just wrote in Forbes. And so, sometime later this year or into next year, it's my intent and goal to have our book written that we can pass out and give to our listeners and attendees for more education. I believe that's all the questions we have. And no more questions. I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar. It's been a pleasure presenting to you today on maximizing Social Security benefits, talking about the current state of the market. I hope the webinar was worth your time, beneficial, and valuable for you. Thank you very much. If I can now figure out how to end the webinar. Well, I might need some help from my team.